All right, now we're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. I'm sort of kind of laughing right now because I actually just went over this monologue already, but I actually clicked recording, not live stream. So I had to I'm like, why isn't there any questions? There's usually a bunch of questions this morning, really early in the video. And then I noticed, it was it was recording, not going live. Yeah, it's early, and this daylight savings really messes people up. That's just the reality. Well, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and go over the futures. That is my pup barking, of course. We have an audience. Dow futures are up 39 points. NASDAQ is up 98 points. The S&P up 0.38%. The Russell is up 0.15% this morning. The dollar index up 0.14% at 103.01. Again, CPI was hotter than expected. The VIX volatility index 1442. That's down 5%, interesting enough. Crude oil pulling back below the 200-day. Again, I do have some energy positions long, so I'm keeping an eye on that. Tomorrow will be inventories report. Gasoline futures down 0.76%. Gold's down 1%. I've been waiting for that pullback, and we talked about that on our weekly video as well. If you haven't checked that out, make sure to hit up our channel list. It is our weekly recap. So let's go ahead and also take a look at Bitcoin. That's 72,460 currently, down about 0.28%. Ethereum above 4,000. First time in a while, huh, guys? All right, let's go ahead and get to S&P 500. What has changed with CPI? Let's get to the number rather quickly. Here's our CPI numbers. 0.4% versus 0.3% previous. That's a month-over-month basis. Year-over-year basis, 3.2% versus 3.1%. So again, hotter than expected on a month-over-month and a year-over-year basis. On the core CPI, strip out autos and gas, 0.4% versus the previous being 4.4%. Again, 1/10 of 1% above estimates. Core CPI, similar, up 0.1% versus the estimate. 3.8 was actually less than previous. So at least we're getting on the core year-over-year basis, that number is slightly falling. We're not quite there at the Fed's number of 2%, but I think we can throw that out the window because they're pretty much set in stone that they want to cut rates. At this point, I think June seems about right. I'm going to kind of look at that being my date. That kind of lines up with the thesis that we're going to go ahead and get an actual kind of summer rally, and then we'll start getting really choppy in August, September, and October as we get closer to the election. That seems to be kind of the pace that I'm seeing of this market. This may all change because if March is really bullish, guys, you got to understand with this CPI number being higher than expected, not even pulling back this market. I mean, what is it going to take at this point? Nvidia's just going to keep going up forever, right? I mean, that's kind of the assumption. This is just bull market stuff. 52.35. I mean, if we can break above that, that gets really interesting. Right around here, 52.35. Then you have 5,300, and it's only March, guys. March, historically speaking, in terms of springtime, tends to be pretty strong into April. But we usually have a weak February leading into March, and the seasonality patterns are out of whack. So we got to see what we get moving forward. Take it step by step, right? In terms of NASDAQ, initial price action of a pullback. In that sense, it bounced right at 18.2. Now we're at 18.3. We're off the highs. It's just really choppy. I would just wait and see what happens moving forward in terms of futures. I wouldn't jump into anything at this point. I do have Tesla puts open, and we got into this resistance at 183.77. That red line. So we're going to use that as our resistance. We have time. And unless we're basing around for the next 2.5 weeks, I think we're looking okay in terms of Tesla. Still downward trend. We're still below the 100 MA on the 1 hour. Again, we still have puts on Tesla, the 160s. Apple is also, I want to discuss. Talked about this on our weekly video. Again, I'm kind of leaning that this might be a bottom for Apple. Some stuff is kind of lining up for it. So 175, if we can sustain above that, I would like a close above that. If we do, we need to start looking at possibly either buying upside calls or actually buying shares right. And then we can go back to $200 per share is what we're looking for in the near term. So that's where Apple is. Microsoft from Connor. Good morning. We're going to go to the 4 hour here. And again, just consolidation. Still an upward trend, but 420 is my magic number. Right now, it is up pre-market, but nothing. It's just chop, just crappy chop. And I have Microsoft calls, unfortunately. ARM, nice pop from February, as we know. Nothing to it right now, just choppy. Nothing to do here. Yeah, really since last month, last 20 days, it's just been absolutely looks like a heartbeat at this point at ARM, like a really low heartbeat. So I mean, would I buy it here? I just don't want to pay surge pricing for semiconductors, guys. The time to buy semiconductors, no offense, was our 2023 video when I did it in January, talking about semiconductors being the new oil. That was really the time to buy. Right now, you're just riding this wave. I would not pay surge pricing on an Uber, for example. I know you may need the ride, but again, unless you absolutely need exposure to NVIDIA at this very moment, you don't need to. I think that's just FOMO in play. So if you're planning to play calls, fine, but there's nothing there. AMD. We talked about AMD having a pullback this past week. This past week's video, excuse me. We talked about NVIDIA as well. AMD hasn't broken my alert yet. I still have 193.25. I want to target this 185 retest level. That's kind of the key on AMD. I don't know if we'll get there. GT. GT Goodyear. Let's see it. I don't know about in terms of options, but we're getting relatively close to possibly hitting some kind of trend reversal. You see right here, this looks like to be that support that held right at $13. But this 200 MA there. Let's see the daily. Yeah, you have a gap to fill right here at 1324. If you break above 1276, you can possibly trade that right there. But the goal is when you want to get to 1560. And in order to get there, we need to get above the 200 day. So at this very moment, I wouldn't want to own it. I wouldn't even want to trade it, to be honest with you. I think you just skip this name. Thoughts on semis, NVIDIA? Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking that we get this pullback, and I keep saying that, and it doesn't happen. In terms of NVIDIA, I have an alert at 824.78. If that breaks, then we can have a conversation about puts. But it's a resilient one. I mean, right now at this point, we're really just splitting hairs on what we can do on a name where there's nothing much to do. Snap. Yeah, I remember I talked about Snapchat. Again, that's contingent on us breaking the alert, and we didn't. So you can see that we weren't even close yesterday. We need 1265, guys. We're bouncing off the 200 MA currently on the daily. Again, we want to get above 1265. So nothing was filled. We just want to get to 15. And again, what's going to make that move? It's going to be that TikTok news. If we get that law passed or Congress passes the law to ban TikTok, Snapchat and Meta are going to go higher. And that's where we are. I think Bank of America, I got one more. Bank of America. Yeah, we were getting close to that break I wanted. 36.15, guys. So we have some far out calls, and you see this beautiful break right here on XLE. Beautiful. The worst case scenario in terms of XLE, and we're green on it on these calls, is that we kind of just bounce and kind of get back into here. But we can see the breakout. As long as we stay above 88.76, I have the 90 calls. I think we break higher, but we need crude oil to bounce a little bit more. And then, of course, Bitcoin, right? 34 is the break level we're looking for. 72,710. What more can we say? I mean, 100,000 is definitely on watch. What more can we say? I think once we break 75,000, man, now the question could be, could we hit 100K before the halvening, the halvening of the supply? That'd be really interesting on Bitcoin. But let's get 75K first, and then we'll get our BITO calls, and then Bitcoin can go to 1 million for all I care. I just want to get the option signal correct. All right, team, we'll go and leave it there. Let's get one more look at the markets here. ES is breaking, pulling back. NASDAQ pulling back as well. So we'll see if Tesla also responds in kind, because I do have puts. So we'll see. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. I will see you on the market blog on Discord. Cheers all.